Caitlin Clark, in effect, in a good way for the WNBA. You're not going to believe it, but we're going to talk nice. That Connor Stalions guy, I want him to go away. I'm sorry. I want him to go away. And Caron Phillips and Deadspin lost their first legal battle in their defamation case. I hope they lose every battle. Jay Gruden is going to join us. Dan Mullen is going to join us. What a show. Don't At Me starts right now. Oh, we're going to call this, and we'll find out in a minute, a hangover Thursday. I think. I don't know. Maybe not. Nick and Nick were out last night, baby. One was at the game, get Mets game. The other was in a bar that just went absolutely bat-blank crazy. Both sent videos, and they're fantastic. We really should play both at some point. Last thing. Let's see if we can get the video, both of those videos up. Anyway, the Caitlin Clark effect is in full effect. See what I did there? It's pretty clever. Even without Caitlin Clark. Now, that's odd, right? Look, the WNBA would get about 500,000 to watch the finals, that kind of thing. Well, now, Caitlin Clark has brought such attention, and I would also argue that Angel Reese has brought such attention to the WNBA that even without both, WNBA ratings aren't as bad as what people project. Look, they're about half of what they were when Caitlin Clark was there, but they're still the best ratings that they've had in semifinals for a long, long time. One of the biggest questions facing the WNBA once Caitlin Clark and the Fever were eliminated was what was going to be the ratings. Who was going to watch? Are they going to sink? Are they going to go in the toilet? Well, the ratings are down, but they're still up big over last year, and that is a good thing. Look, I get it. We all get it. I think most people thought that the ratings, and maybe even hoped that the ratings for the WNBA would go way, 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 way down to maybe 5 years ago proportion, but they really haven't. And I got to tell you, one of the things as you look at this, and we've said this as we've gone through this because we have been your show for all things Caitlin Clark, but as we've gone through this, we've told you, you know, that old adage, no publicity is bad publicity, all publicity is good publicity, kind of worked. It kind of has worked. Little girls knocking the living hell out of Caitlin Clark, then cheering about it, and then whining and bitching and moaning and complaining that they're being racist attacks, blah, 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 after they were racist. That's worked. People are tuning in. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I have not tuned in 1 second since Caitlin Clark was eliminated. But that's not unusual for me. I didn't tune in 1 second to the regular season if it wasn't an Indiana Fever game. But again, you don't have to really use me. I didn't tune in 1 second going back to 2012. Last time I tuned in was when the Indiana Fever won the whole damn thing with Tamika Catchings. But the fact of the matter is a lot of people are tuning in. A lot of people do want to see. In fact, I couldn't sit here right now and tell you who's in the finals. I couldn't do it. And I'm not proud of that. I'm just telling you that's the way I choose to live my life. But let's go back to the ratings. This isn't about me, although it is my show. Anyway, the ratings are up big. Let's have a look. Liberty Aces. Close your eyes, tell you who won. I'll tell you why I know the Liberty ended up winning. All right? I'll tell you why. Because people were making fun of Becky Hammond and her $1 million contract for Olympians and the most valuable player not getting to the finals in a watered-down league. That's pretty good right there. That's Sunday. Sunday, 3 o'clock, we're getting into the third, maybe fourth quarter of some NFL games. 979,000 viewers? What? Now, the next one, the Lynx in the Sun, although I don't know who a player on the Lynx in the Sun. Yeah, I do. He's on there. Brittany Griner. I know that's what you guys do, so I jumped in there with you. I feel bad about that. Brittany Griner's on there. Diana Taurasi's on there. And the angry lesbian Cheryl Reed, the coach, who was really angry about Caitlin Clark, more than just one woman, blah, 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 blah. She helped spur a lot of this racism that Caitlin Clark faced. Anyway, that was down half. Basically, that was down to where the numbers used to be. However, none of the games without Clark in the playoff have been able to top the 1 million. That's a big-time plateau. It's become a benchmark for Indiana Fever games from the Sports Media Watch regarding Caitlin Clark's final game this season. It was the 26th WNBA telecast this season to top the million-viewer mark, with Caitlin Clark having played in 21 Fever games and the WNBA All-Star Game. Remember, there's only like 40 games in the league. And of the 4 exceptions, 2 led out of Caitlin Clark's games, meaning Caitlin Clark's games were before. That's a pretty good lead-in to the second game. Really good lead-in to the second game. I mean, Caitlin Clark drew as many as 2 million in different games. And anyway, you can keep going with that. I think I screwed that up. The obvious conclusion here continues to be that Clark increased overall interest in women's basketball at all levels. And boy, would I agree with that. No, I really would. I would absolutely agree with that, and I don't think there's any real debate on that. Women's basketball, the college NCAA tournament, was growing pretty well. And then last year, it exploded. That's one level. The WNBA was stagnant, awful, ridiculous, angry, stupid. Well, Caitlin Clark came in, and as evidenced by every single metric, and let's go through a few of those metrics. Attendance, way up. TV viewership, way up. Jersey sales, way up. Sponsorships, way up. No, I mean, it's way up, and it's because of Caitlin Clark. I would argue this. Now, I don't know the answer to this, and maybe the answer is, Dan, you're crazy. But I wonder how many young women started playing basketball. I wonder how many little girls, not young women, little girls, 7, 8 years old that are kind of running around, trying to figure out, do I like baseball? Am I a tomboy? Do I not like sports? Do I like foot? What do I like? I wonder how many saw Caitlin Clark and said, you know what? I'm going to be the next Caitlin Clark. I'm going to be the next great superstar in that sport, because that's what happens. Oh, my gosh. I mean, when Michael Jordan was rocking and rolling and shaking and baking, we used to do basketball camps at Indiana. And we had 900 kids per week. One was in the middle of campus, which is the one that I ran, 450 kids. Another one was at the field house next to Assembly Hall, 450 kids, 2 totally separate camps. But in Michael Jordan's heyday, I always look at the shoes. And I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 kids were wearing Nikes. Now, this may have been before the whole Jumpman thing, but 9 out of 10 were wearing Nikes. It was always fascinating to me. That's what's happening with little girls and Caitlin Clark. 9 out of 10 are going to be wearing what Caitlin Clark wears. 9 out of 10 are going to be wearing a jersey of Caitlin Clark. There may be some Angel Reese. What the hell? But the truth of the matter is, this is only the beginning. No, this is. I've been very critical of the WNBA because of how they've treated Caitlin Clark, from the commissioner through Cheryl Reeves, the Olympic coach, to Dawn Staley, one of the Olympic pickers, and the players on the court. But the fact of the matter is, the next great one is Juju Watkins. Juju Watkins is at USC. I talked about her yesterday. Juju Watkins just signed a big-time extension with Nike. I don't know if it's bigger than Caitlin Clark's. I don't really care. But I know this, she's the next big thing. See, all these women that came before Caitlin Clark, Nike understands this. They didn't move the needle. A'ja Wilson's playing in Vegas. A'ja Wilson's the MVP. By all accounts, A'ja Wilson's the best player maybe ever. I don't know. But we've seen A'ja Wilson. We've seen 6 foot whatever from the free throw line down. We haven't seen Caitlin Clark. And the next element of Caitlin Clark, although she doesn't play the same way, is Juju Watkins. You watch. That will be a name this time next year. But anyway, let me get back to today. The Caitlin Clark effect is real. She's actually playing in some kind of pro-am golf tournament, and they were scrambling at that golf tournament to get sponsors and stream it. I mean, the woman is a walking Midas. I mean, what she touches turns to gold. What she touches turns to money. How long does this last? Not really sure. Has it lasted longer than I expected? Yeah, I kind of think so. I wasn't sure how anything other than Caitlin Clark's games were going to rate the attention paid to them once we got into the NFL season. And remember, they had basically 3 weeks to a month off because of the Olympics. We're right now in nut-cutting time in the NFL season, and the WNBA is doing pretty good. Salute. It was a 20? Yeah, I already talked about that. Salute. I'll end it with that. I got the coffee cup. I got the coffee cup from where today? Athens. My wife and I went to Athens. Don't go to Athens. Go to Mallorca. No, not Mallorca. Mykonos. Nice. Anyway, I've had enough of Connor Stalions. Connor Stalions is my boy. We took a picture once, so he's my boy. Connor Stalions has a great story. Connor Stalions, actually, if you really think about it, worked harder than most people to get to where he was. And where he was right there on the sideline. And if Jim Harbaugh had a grateful bone in his body, had a bone that wasn't narcissistic, he would be giving and funneling money to Connor Stalions now. See, Connor Stalions is the sign stealer from Michigan, and you look at the numbers before Stalions, about 60%, and you look at the numbers after Stalions at Michigan, about 90% winning percentage. Harbaugh, if he wasn't such a narcissist, if he wasn't such a fraud, would be funneling a ton of money, would be giving, not funneling, hey, look, he deserved it, a ton of money to Stalions. So Stalions does bussing with the boys. Taylor Lewin and Will Compton, I believe those are the two guys that do a podcast for the fellas over there at Barstool. He claims Stallion does in an interview on Barstool Sports, Bussing with the Boys. He secretly gave Michigan State signals to Michigan's rival, Ohio State, in 2021 to make sure a three-way tie didn't happen. Now, I want you to think about this. Let's say this is true. And I got no reason to believe it's not true. Let's say this is true. That's how powerful this guy became in the underground of college football. Think about it. Think about it. I don't want a three-way tie. So I am going to influence this to the point where I don't care. I'll give it to my rival. Man, that's strong. And am I surprised by this? No. Do I believe it? Sure, why not? I mean, what the hell? Why wouldn't I believe it? There's no reason not to believe it. See, Connor Stalions always wanted to coach at Michigan, but guys that are in coaching, and Stalions put himself right in the middle of coaching, understand that, hey, the more the merrier. The more contacts, the more friends, the more people going to bat for me, the more people that I know, the better opportunity that I'll have. That's just business 101. So Stalions, on Bussing with the Boys, he said this.
2021, we lose to Michigan State. Kenneth Walker had a great game.
Played fantastic.
Yep. And we needed some help. Right. They had to lose twice. And we had to
Who
win
had to
out.
lose twice again?
Michigan State had to lose twice. And then that would have resulted in having a three-way tie. Or no, we would have beaten Ohio State, and then it would have just been us and Ohio State, because then Michigan State would not have been in that three-way tie. Mm-hmm. And they lost to Purdue. And then I think it was the next week they played Ohio State, the week before we played Ohio State. And so we needed Ohio State to win. So I gave Michigan State signals to a buddy of mine and said, hey, I changed all the logos. I made it look like it came from a different school. I don't want to give Ohio State something from Michigan, right? They might not use it. Who knows? But right. We need Ohio State to win. And I know they steal the crap out of defensive signals, so here you go. So I gave it to a buddy who may have given it to a buddy who then gave it to Ohio State and said,
classic game of telephone.
Yep, I got this from so-and-so, name your school university. And so they got, I'm sure they probably already had them, but it just confirmed everything. But and then they won like 60-0.
And that's all you needed.
Yep.
Makes sense to me. I mean, look, Ohio State probably did, but the difference is this. I mean, see, Stalions is sitting there and he's pinning blame on Ohio State, right? By saying they steal signs defensive. There I am, me and my boy, Stalions. That's our guy, my guy. Back in my, really bad-looking day. I'm a much better-looking guy now. But anyway, I digress. That's what the first thing I look at. I look at the hair. I'm like, should lose some weight. Anyway, get off that, Dan. But anyway, so Stalions is trying to put Ohio State under the bus by saying they steal signs, blah, 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 blah. But the truth of the matter is, sure, everybody off of TV steals signs, but nobody goes, sits in the bleachers, gets an infrared camera on the sideline of Central Michigan, and steals signs. By the way, what has ever happened to that whole Central Michigan thing? Where is that at? Jim McIlvain, where are you? What are you doing? What's happening? Anyway, long story short, That's the deal. That's the difference. You can sit there and you can accuse Ohio State, which he does. That's the part I'm focusing on here. Would he have given signs to Ohio State to beat Michigan State? Hell yeah. Absolutely. I mean, change all that, truthfully, sounds reasonable to me. But it doesn't exonerate the fact that he was a douchebag. It doesn't exonerate the fact that he was a cheat. Now that he's coaching on his own, I don't even know what's happened. Last time I looked, he got beat 51-0. But I digress. So good for Connor Stalions keeping himself alive. He's still a big-time interview. I'm sure Bussin' with the Boys thought, man, if we can get him on. I'm sure we think that. Man, if we can get him on. It's all good to me. I'm watching college football now, and I'm just assuming everybody has everybody else's signs. I don't know. Hey, look, we talked about this, and I'm digging this. There's a guy named Caron Phillips. Caron Phillips is a racist, a stark, steaming racist, a bad guy as a journalist, just a bad guy. Why do I say that? Well, let me give you the background, or what happened yesterday. A Delaware judge rejected the motion by Deadspin. Caron Phillips works for Deadspin, to dismiss a defamation lawsuit for falsely accusing, remember this, a 9-year-old. A 9-year-old NFL fan for wearing blackface in an article, according to the Associated Press. A big win for the Armenta family. The idiots at Deadspin are saying we only saw one side of his face, which was painted black. We didn't see the other side, which was painted red. Chiefs colors. So a little 9-year-old puts on a headdress, puts on one side black. There he is. There's black. One side red. And these idiots, Caron Phillips, this absolute dumbass, there he is, this horrible human being, Caron Phillips, decides we're going to attack a 9-year-old, and the NFL needs to address a 9-year-old wearing blackface to a game. Oops. And this becomes a national story. And this idiot, Caron Phillips, of course, being African-American, they couldn't fire him. He needed to not only be fired, he needed to be sued within an inch of his life. They need to take every dime that he has. They need to OJ him in terms of civil suit. Ronald Goldman did not win the trial, but he won the civil suit. They need to Alex Jones him, where everything that you have, you got to give up to pay the defamation suit off. Yeah, that's what they need to do here. I read somewhere where, I forget who it was, but they're trying not to have to sell their championship rings because they got sued within an inch of their life. That's what needs to happen to this Caron Phillips. I mean, what a douchebag. There are douchebags, and then there are douchebags. This Caron Phillips, well, he is a racist, stupid, incredibly stupid douchebag. Last November, then Deadspin, Ray, I think he did get canned. Caron J. Phillips, oh, thank God for the J, published a photo of a kid holding Armenta from a Chiefs game wearing a Native American headdress and his face painted. Armenta painted his face half red, half black in support of his favorite team, the Kansas City Chiefs. However, Phillips's article only showed one side of the child's face, the side painting black. Here's a screenshot of Phillips's dumbass and his dumbass article. I mean, this guy is a moron. The NFL needs to speak out against the Kansas City Chiefs fan in blackface, native headdress. Really? Really? Okay, Caron. Yeah, I mean, a 9-year-old. This guy is so stupid and so driven to be a race-baiting jackass that he didn't investigate this even a little bit. Now, that's privilege. God bless him. Honest to God. Deadspin is obviously the worst of the worst. I mean, they have fallen from something that people would read to something that people just laugh at. And that's all because of Caron Phillips. Let's show what is actual again. We showed this earlier. Let's show it again. Here is the kid. I don't know about you, but that ain't blackface. And even if it was, it's a 9-year-old kid. Who gives a rat's ass? You know what I mean? I mean, hell, Kamala Harris just went on Howard Stern And Howard Stern famously in blackface dropped the N-word 762 times. All right, I made that up. But you know what I'm saying. Nobody said a word. Where's Corone Phillips on that? Where's this jackass? Where is this lowlife? Where is this punk on that? Oh, man, it is pretty funny to me. I mean, the media is stupid. It's not like these are smart people. And then you open it up to Deadspin, who's looking around saying, who can we hire? Oh, well, we better fulfill a DEI thing. Let's get this idiot. This idiot's been fired from everything. I think he used to work at I have a friend that worked with him in New York. And I got in a hassle with him one time, not the friend, Corone Phillips, years ago. And he's like, Dan, don't waste your time. This is an entitled idiot. And boy, was he right. I hope they sue this guy and Deadspin within an inch of their lives. I hope they take every dime. I do. Now, my guess is Corone J. Phillips don't have much. My guess is Corone J. Phillips don't have shit. Hope he has less. The ongoing saga, and this is a saga between, college coaches, athletic directors, universities, the transfer portal. It took another turn Tuesday evening as the NCAA Division I committee voted to shorten the transfer portal window for both college football and college basketball, i.e. the revenue sports. The portal will be open only for a combined 30 days in both sports. College football players can start entering the portal December 9. It will close 20 days later, December 28th. For spring period, the portal will open April 16th and run through April 25th. It's a pretty big step for a winter period, given that it's gone from 60 days to now 30 days over the past 2 years. Well, I was asking my son, who's a coach at Illinois State, he goes, Dad, look, all this crap is going on during the year. The amount of tampering done by programs is stupid. So maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. But the truth of the matter is what they really should do is put in something that says if you contact a player from another school, we're going to hit you hard. Now, I don't know what hit you hard means with the NCAA anymore, and that saddens me. But all of these deals are done by the time the season ends. It's ridiculous. Now that the portal or the period will only be open until December 28th, this will make the decision to transfer harder for players still on rosters fighting for a national championship. How about that? Now, let's just take that sentence for just a second. The team, my brothers. Every time a guy transfers, I will always love my brothers at BJU. All right, except I'm leaving when we're playing for a national championship because, brothers be damned. I'm leaving. Even, really? For a national championship? Yeah, I'm gone. Oh, okay. Where are you going? I'm going to Jacksonville State to play for Rich Rod. Oh, okay. Oh, good. The first round of the playoffs take place December 21st, while the quarters will start December 31st and New Year's Day. Yeah. Isn't that amazing, though? I mean, just think about it. You're old, Dakich. You don't understand. No, I'm old and I do understand. Guy's playing for a national championship. All right. He transfers somewhere else. All right. He plays a little bit. All right. Doesn't get a national championship ring. All right. Doesn't get any recognition as being on the national all right. But, hey, he got to play at BJU. And, that BJ stands for exactly what you think it does. Yeah, it does. It does, because that's basically what coaches from other schools are doing. As for the spring window, the opportunity to enter the portal will now only entail a 10-day period, which has also been a point of frustration for coaches across the country, especially when players go through winter camp, then decide to leave following spring practice or games. This is from a coach. All right, this is from an anonymous coach. Why anonymous? I mean, have some balls. So we have to continue attacking the transfer portal while we're potentially fighting for a national championship. That's right. What about the guys that want to leave after they're eliminated from the playoffs? Should they enter their names before we actually play? So as I'm preparing for the opening round of quarterfinals, I have to worry about players coming into my office complaining about playing time or how much money we're going to have to offer them to stay. What about our needs? You think our other programs aren't going to offer our star players more money to transfer while we're getting ready for a game? This is such a cluster, but there's nothing we can do about it. It is. And everybody says, here's the answer. Here's the answer to that coach. Well, you're making millions. That's not the answer. That's not the answer. We want to know that games are played under the strictest of integrity. A running back who is half in, half out, I'm playing, but I know my foot's out the door to go play at BJU. Well, guess what? He's not all in. Guys that are 1 foot out the door, and again, I don't care what you tell me. You can tell me, well, players need the bag, man. No, they don't. Nope. The game needs to be protected. The school needs to be protected. The championship, the playoffs need to be protected. Look, coaches get up. This is why I always make fun of football and basketball coaches, particularly football. Football coaches get up there in their jackets and tie, and they talk about game week, honor, integrity. They compare themselves to war. Bull crap. They're anything but that. They take off that tie, get on the phone, and try to steal players from other programs. Not a very high level of integrity. Here's the other thing. They get up there on signing day, and they brag about how they flipped the guy from LSU to BJU. Like that's some accomplishment. I talked a 17-year-old out of a commitment. I talked a 17-year-old out of giving his word. Weirdly, basketball coaches don't really do that. It's kind of odd. Used to put in the paper a guy's committed to us. That basically kept schools away. In football, when I was at Bowling Green, Urban Meyer had a discussion, back porch about this. He said, why do you put commitments in the paper? I said, basketball coaches leave it alone. He said, man, if I put a commitment in the paper, that would only pique the interest of Michigan and Ohio State. I can't do it. I'm like, well, I don't know why. I don't, because basketball coaches are as skeezy as it gets. But basketball coaches have always left it alone. Now that's all out the window. Everybody's poaching everybody. And it doesn't help the game. It doesn't. I don't give a damn what you tell me. You don't understand. You're old. You're right. Which means we're the only culture that doesn't respect people with experience. We think young, dumb, and full of cum is the way to listen. That's who we're supposed to listen to. No. I've been 22. You ain't been 62. Stop it. I can't believe I said 62. I don't look a day over 70. Anyway, sports reporter Emma Vigeland. Emma Vigeland can, quoting the kids, suck it. She seems to believe that the New York Jets fired head coach Robert Saleh in part because he wore a Lebanon arm patch during this Sunday's game. Really? Really? Vigeland wants to push a narrative that because Saleh supported Lebanon at a time when there is major conflict in the Middle East between Israel, Lebanon, Iran, and the Iranian-backed terrorist proxy, that it must have been his reluctance to cave to Israel that ultimately led to Robert Saleh being fired. Well, what ultimately led to Robert Saleh being fired, Peaches, is the fact that, no, he didn't get along with Aaron Rodgers. He didn't get along with Aaron Rodgers even a little bit. Aaron Rodgers, look, my fat ass on the sidelines could see this when Rodgers pushes the coach away, embarrasses him by saying, well, what about accountability? That's why he got fired, Peaches. See, a lot of coaches wear their nationality, and the NFL appreciates and encourages them to do that. But you know what? This little girl here doesn't understand that. Everybody's looking for the race angle, mostly the stupid ones. And who is this girl? Emma. Hi, Emma. Hi, I'm Emma. Hi. Emma Vigeland. You're an idiot. I'm sorry. Emma Vigeland conveniently left out the fact that Saleh had been wearing a Lebanese armband for the last 2 seasons, has publicly spoken about his Lebanese heritage after being born in Michigan, Dearborn, which is a big Lebanese Middle Eastern community, after his parents migrated there. She also conveniently lets out that Shane Steichen wears whatever the hell he's from on his arm. I don't get it. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't get it. Like, I'm half Serbian, half Polish. If someone said to me, hey, while you're coaching, we would like for you to wear a Serbian, Polish flag, I would say no. I'll wear the American flag. Like, I don't get the whole thing. You know, but the NFL is smart. I'm not. They're brilliant. I'm dumb. They understand marketing. They understand all that stuff. I would simply say, look, I get it. I'm proud. I mean, I like when my Serbian brothers do good and my Polish brothers do good, and I'll drink Slivo with anybody. But the truth of the matter is, oh, no. Oh, God, no. I'm not wearing nothing but the American flag. And if you don't like the American flag, I say to you, suck it. But anyway, Emma Vigeland, suck it. Mark Cuban defends NBA's China partnership despite opposing Chinese and all human rights violations. Really? Hey, let's have a conversation. What's happened to Cuban? Like, there's a lot of speculation out there that Cuban has, well, done something or bought into or been bought by, which is hard to believe because he's a billionaire, bought by the left. I don't know. But it seems like every week Cuban is trying so damn hard. It's got to be a marketing ploy because that's all Cuban is. It's got to be. It has to be. Because he all of a sudden is in the news every day. I have said I'm against Chinese and all the human rights violations. All right? The NBA exports content to China and gets paid for it. I'm okay with that. Then don't tell us about how we're all supposed to live here. Don't even try to moralize. Don't try to moralize on us. Cuban, you got to say that. If you don't say that, they'll probably kick you out of the league. They'll probably try to take your business. But don't moralize. A 2022 ESPN investigation found that NBA owners had more than $10 billion tied into China, including one owner whose company has a joint venture with an entity that has been sanctioned by the U.S. government. How about that? Another ESPN investigation in July 2020 found that one of the basketball training camps in was called a sweat camp for athletes by a coach who was stationed there. That was an interesting discovery, man. At least 2 coaches left their position in response to what they believe was mistreatment of young players. Look, money talks, bullshit walks. Mark Cuban understands that as well as anybody. You can't support the NBA giving and dealing with millions and billions of dollars in China and say you're okay with that, but I'm against Chinese human rights violations and be a stand-up guy. You can be a businessman. You can be a businessman and be okay with it. I get it. But you can't moralize to me anyway. Maybe to you. Maybe to you. But when Cuban is moralizing, what I hear is what I used to tell my kids when their mother talked. What do you hear when you hear mommy talk? Blah, 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 blah. That's how I feel about Cuban. And you should too, because you should think like me. I'm trying to make Gary laugh today, our boss. He sent me a text. I said, hey, how's the show doing? He said, it's great. You make me laugh every day. Maybe I'm trying too hard today. I don't know. But anyway, so where are we? Well, I want to get back to something. The Major League Baseball playoffs were last night. My man Nick, get on the show, Nick. My man Nick gave me a 14 parlay. We hit the first 2 and lost the last 2. I ain't even mad about it. The Dodgers went into the Padres and whooped that ass. Yo. But the Tigers got it done. And more importantly, Slick Nick, you boys got it done last night. The Mets, and you were there, eh? We got to show that video at the end of the show. You were there.
I put my phone up during the Lindor at bat, and he hit the home run. And literally, I don't know what happened next. I sort of blacked out, but my phone went flying 3 rows behind me, and I couldn't find it for like 5 minutes. But it was still one hell of a time. It was electric.
You were out there in the bleachers, right? You were out there in the left field bleachers. The ball went to right field, right center?
Yeah, so it was like in the Phillies bullpen, and I was first row in left field.
How'd you get those seats, and what'd they cost?
I paid probably half, but my friend invited me last minute, so he was like, do you want to come? I was just like, yeah, screw it, let's go.
Our other Nick was in a bar. What bar was he in? Is he there? Is Nick F there, or is he not in today?
He's not in today, but I'm sure it was somewhere in where he lives in like the West Village type of area.
What was the environment all game?
It started to slow down after the third inning because the first two innings they left the bases loaded. So my friends and I were like, "This is not going to end very well." And then they scored the run on the Vientos bobble at third base when they had the bases loaded. So I'm like, "This is not gonna go well." And then the bases got loaded again, and I'm thinking to myself, if we don't score here, we're gonna lose. And then obviously Lindor hit the home run. I'm I'm going batshit crazy. I'm losing my mind. And then Edwin Diaz came in and I started shitting the bed. I started shitting myself.
Woo! He was walking, folks. He couldn't find the plate for a minute there. Woo! Man.
I told my friends, like, you got to leave Peterson in. I get it. Edwin's the closer, but like Peterson has not given up a single flaw. He's flawless right now. Keep him in. His pitch count's low. I think it was like 19 pitches after the eighth inning. I'm like, keep him in. And they didn't do it.
Man, that got a little sexy. And then you got Schwarber up, and obviously Schwarber has been, banging home runs. I think I saw something. He was like 0 for 9 with 7 strikeouts against Diaz, and Diaz just blew his ass away. But it had to be a little tense, 2 on, tying run at home plate. Woo!
I felt like throwing up multiple times during that inning. I'm not even kidding. So like everybody's getting all hyped when the trumpets came on, right? I'm like, I'm the only one sitting there like I'm about to go through cardiac arrest right now because I'm so nervous. Like I was sweaty during that whole inning. And then they walked the first two. I'm like, this is it. This is where we blow it.
But you didn't. And now you live to see, is it going to be the Dodgers? Is it going to be the Padres? I don't know, man. And the Yankees got a win last night in KC. Hey, your parlay was rolling. I mean, we had 2, and I'm like, all right, here we go. And the Royals couldn't score. The Yankees got it done. I want a Yankees-Mets World Series.
I do too. And I was actually very surprised that the parlay didn't hit last night. I seriously thought that the Padres were going to shut it down. But Dylan C's just, he just can't handle the bright lights, which is I'm pretty shocked at. And then the Yankees, I'm also surprised at that too. Seth Lugo gave up 2 runs. I thought he was going to go scoreless, but anything's possible in baseball, especially the postseason.
All right, it's good stuff.